She was 5 months pregnant when I handed her a fake paternity test, sealed, official looking, and 100% forged. I told myself it was to save her. Truth is, I was desperate. Desperate to get her away from the man who was slowly destroying her. Now she won't speak to me. And I don't know if I saved her, or just became the final person she'll never trust again. My name's Jason. I'm 32, divorced, living alone in a 2-bedroom I bought after my ex left. I work in logistics, pay my taxes, keep my circle small, and I don't mess in other people's business unless I'm dragged into it kicking and screaming. But family? That's the one place I'll cross the damn line. My sister, Emily, is 27. Grew up a sweetheart. Funny, sharp as hell, used to light up any room she walked into. I watched over her growing up, kept her first boyfriend from getting too handsy behind the bleachers, drove an hour to punch out a guy who cheated on her in college. She always said I was overprotective. I never cared. I knew her worth. And then came Trevor. First time I met him, he shook my hand like he was daring me to punch him. Slick smile, aviators on indoors, talked about himself for 45 minutes while Emily just nodded and laughed like she was watching her favorite movie. Something in me twisted. That wasn't her laugh. That wasn't how she used to look at people. He worked at some digital marketing firm, lots of buzzwords, no real substance. He bragged about crypto gains and networking with ballers. Called Emily his queen in public, but when he thought no one was looking, he'd roll his eyes or ignore her completely. Classic narcissist energy. But she was deep in it. Then came the pregnancy. That call hit like a punch to the gut. She was crying, telling me it was unplanned but that Trevor was ready to step up. I remember just sitting there, staring at my phone, because I couldn't picture him changing a tire, let alone raising a human. But I didn't say it. Not then. The real shift came 4 months in. She started canceling on family dinners. Stopped answering texts. When I did see her, she looked tired. Like something inside her was draining out slow. I asked her once, real soft, just brother to sister, if everything was okay with Trevor. She smiled too fast and said, he's just stressed. Then she changed the subject. So I started watching. Checked out his social media. It was all gym selfies, motivational quotes, and photos of expensive meals that I'm almost sure he didn't pay for. No pictures of her. No mention of the baby. Then I caught him at a bar downtown. Not alone. I didn't even plan to be there, it was a coworker's birthday thing. But there he was, in a corner booth with some girl draped over his arm like a scarf. He kissed her right in front of me. Openly. I took a picture. When I showed Emily, she barely reacted. She just stared at it like it was a painting she couldn't make sense of. Then she whispered, "It's complicated," and walked out of my apartment without another word. That night, I made a decision. I couldn't save her from him. But I could make damn sure he wasn't the father of that baby. So I faked the test. I won't get into the how, I've got a buddy who works in a clinic, and yeah, I owe him big now. But the point is, I handed her a clean envelope with a seal and everything. Said I'd found out Trevor had been cheating again, and I didn't trust him, so I'd looked into some things. When she opened it, her hands shook. She looked up at me like the ground had disappeared under her feet. It says he's not the father. Her voice cracked right in the middle. I nodded. I'm sorry, Em. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just left. I found out later she confronted Trevor that night. He denied everything, of course. Called me a liar, a manipulator. Said I was jealous of him, of their relationship. Emily broke things off anyway, but not because of the test. She said it was everything. Said she needed space. It's been 6 weeks. She's moved in with our cousin. Blocked my number. I thought I'd feel relief. I thought I'd feel like I saved her. But I've never felt more like a villain in my life. I didn't tell anyone what I did at first. Not my parents, not my friends, not even my buddy who helped fake the damn test. I figured the less people who knew, the less real it would feel. But every day that went by without a text from Emily felt like a steel rod between my ribs. I kept checking my phone, like an idiot. Every morning, every night, even in the middle of meetings. I told myself I was watching for news about her pregnancy, but the truth, I just wanted her to say thank you. Or even screw you. Anything but silence. Our mom finally called me 2 weeks in. I could hear the tension in her voice before she even said hello. She's gone quiet on all of us, she said. You know what's going on. I wanted to lie. I actually opened my mouth to do it. But something in me cracked. Maybe it was the way Mom sounded, scared, like she was holding a family photo that had suddenly caught fire. So I told her. Not all of it. Not the fake test part. Just the bar photo. Trevor with another woman. Mom got real quiet. I could almost hear her adjusting the phone, sitting down at the kitchen table. I knew something was wrong, she whispered. She hasn't looked happy in months. I thought telling Mom would feel like some kind of relief, like finally offloading a piece of the weight. It didn't. It just made everything more real. But the part that broke me? A week after that call, our cousin Melissa showed up at my door. I opened it thinking she was dropping something off, maybe bringing news from Emily. But the look on her face, tight jaw, red eyes, told me I wasn't getting a damn thing I wanted. She walked in without asking, dropped her purse on my table, said, "She knows." I froze. "She knows what?" I asked, trying to keep my voice flat. Melissa stared at me like she was meeting a stranger. "You faked the test, Jason." My throat went dry. I looked at the wall behind her just to keep from flinching. "She told me the dates didn't make sense," Melissa continued. "So she got another one. A real one." I sat down hard. My knees just gave out. "She asked me if I thought you were capable of lying to her face like that. You know what I said?" Her voice cracked. I said no. I said never. She looked like she wanted to hit me. Maybe I deserved it. "I did it for her," I muttered. "That guy, he was poison, Mel." She was disappearing right in front of us. "So you played God," she snapped. "You nuked her whole world just because you thought you knew better." I couldn't say anything. My brain was spinning. Melissa took a breath, steadied herself. "You were right about him. He was garbage. But she's not speaking to him anymore. She's not crying over him. She's grieving you." She left without slamming the door. That almost hurt worse. I sat there for hours, just staring at the coffee table. I couldn't even cry. I just kept thinking about that moment, her reading that paper, her voice cracking. "She's grieving you." I don't know how long I sat there. Long enough for daylight to disappear. Long enough for my phone to go dark in my hand. That night, I wrote a letter. Old school, pen and paper. Because I didn't think I deserved her voice anymore, not even through text. I told her everything. Not to justify, not to defend. Just the truth. I told her I missed the way she used to laugh with her whole body. That I saw her light fading and I panicked. That I acted like a coward pretending to be a hero. And I ended it like this. "I would rather be the villain in your story than the bystander who watched you vanish." I put it in the mailbox the next morning. That was 3 weeks ago. Still no answer. The silence became its own kind of punishment. I stopped expecting a reply. Every day that passed without one just chipped away at something inside me I didn't know was still soft. I was going through the motions, work, gym, frozen dinners and bad TV, but I wasn't really living. It was like I'd pressed pause on my own life waiting for a message that would never come. Then one Friday night, almost a full month after I sent the letter, someone knocked on my door. It wasn't just the knock that got me, it was the timing. 9:30 at night. Not a neighbor, not Amazon. I opened it and she was standing there. Emily. She looked different. Not in some dramatic, movie makeover way. Just, older. Heavier somehow, like she'd lived 3 years in the 4 weeks since I'd last seen her. Her arms were crossed, not like she was angry, more like she was holding herself together. "I read your letter," she said. Her voice hit me like a slap I didn't block. I stepped back, let her in without saying a word. She walked into the living room like it belonged to someone she used to know. We stood there for a few seconds. Not talking. Not sitting. Just breathing in the tension. Finally, she spoke. "You know what the worst part was?" I looked up. She wasn't crying. She looked sharp. Raw and clear-eyed in a way I hadn't seen in years. "I believed you. Instantly. I didn't even question it." Her voice cracked, not loud, just a quiet fracture. "You could have told me he was running some secret scam, and I probably would have asked how much money he made." I didn't try to speak. There was no version of this conversation where I came out clean. She shook her head slowly. "You didn't just lie, Jason. You took the choice away from me. You decided I couldn't handle the truth, that I couldn't decide what kind of father my baby deserved. I thought I was protecting you," I said, hating how weak it sounded. She laughed once. "Not because it was funny, because it was pathetic. You were protecting your version of me. The girl who needed her big brother to step in and save the day. That girl doesn't exist anymore. My throat was tight. My heart felt like it was 2 sizes too big for my chest. You were right about Trevor, she admitted. About the cheating, the narcissism. The way he made me feel small when no one was looking. But you didn't save me from him. I did that. I nodded, barely. I know. She finally sat down on the couch. Not beside me. Across, like this was a meeting. I got the test redone because I needed to know if you were lying, not because I doubted him. Isn't that messed up? That hit deeper than anything else. I don't know if I can ever trust you the same way again, she said, and her voice went quiet, flat. And that's what hurts the most. Not him. Not the test. You. I swallowed hard. I'd give anything to undo it. She looked up, eyes wet now but not blinking. You can't. You don't get to undo it. That's the thing about betrayal, Jason. It's not a moment. It's a crack that keeps spreading, every time I think about who I used to think you were. We sat in silence. For once, I didn't try to fill it. After a few minutes, she stood. Walked to the door. I don't hate you, she said. But I need space. Real space. Not just time. I need to be the one in control of my life for once. I stood too. Not to stop her. Just to show her I heard her. I'll be here, I said quietly. Whenever you're ready. She nodded. Opened the door. Paused. Then, without turning around, she said, she's a girl. And she left. That broke me. I sat down on the floor, right where she'd stood, and I let myself cry for the first time in years. Because it wasn't just about what I'd done. It was about what I'd lost. 2 weeks after she walked out of my apartment, I got a call from Trevor. Yeah. Trevor. I was at work, elbows deep in inventory reports, when my phone lit up with an unknown number. I wouldn't have answered, but something in my gut, it twisted. Like a warning. Or maybe an opportunity. His voice was smug. Casual. Like we were old buddies catching up over beer. Jason, man. We should talk. I stood up from my desk and walked straight out to the parking lot. My hands were already shaking. What the hell do you want? He laughed. Just wanted to let you know, Emily told me everything. About the fake test. About you sticking your nose where it didn't belong. I didn't say anything. Just waited. Let him talk. You really thought you could break us up that easy? You think I haven't dealt with overprotective family before? My jaw clenched. He wasn't just gloating. He was fishing. Trying to provoke something. I knew his type. Guys like Trevor don't just get angry. They perform it. For attention. For control. I'm not with her, I said. You got what you wanted. She's not talking to me. Oh, she's not talking to me either, he said, like it was a joke. But it doesn't matter. You'll come crawling back before long. You always do. That last line stopped me cold. You always do. He caught himself. I heard it, just a second of hesitation. Then he hung up. I stood there in the cold wind for a long time, just staring at the horizon. Replaying that line over and over in my head. You always do. It sounded personal. Like history. Like maybe I didn't know the whole damn story after all. So I started digging. Not online this time. I called Emily's ex-roommate from college, Rachel. We hadn't talked in years, but I remembered she and Emily were close before Trevor showed up. I tracked her down through LinkedIn, sent a message, didn't expect much. But she responded the next morning. Said she'd been waiting for someone to reach out about Trevor. We met at a coffee shop. She showed up with a folder. I didn't ask why. I already knew. Emily's not the first girl he's done this to, Rachel said. He's got a pattern. Love bombs them, isolates them, bleeds them dry emotionally, sometimes even financially, then flips it and plays victim. I opened the folder. There were screenshots. Emails. Even a restraining order filed by a woman named Danielle back in 2019. Same MO, same spiral. Same ending. Why didn't you ever tell her? I asked, throat tight. She looked down. I tried. He got to her first. Told her I was jealous. Bitter. That I was trying to sabotage her relationship. Of course he did. Rachel leaned in. He's dangerous, Jason. Not physically, but psychologically. He builds little cages out of compliments and guilt. And by the time you realize you're trapped, you're already questioning whether you even deserve to leave. I sat with that for a while. Then I asked the question I wasn't sure I wanted the answer to. Do you think she'll forgive me? Rachel was quiet for a long time. Then she said, maybe. But she won't forget. And she shouldn't. I nodded. I just want her to be safe. You should want her to be free, Rachel corrected. Safe can still feel like prison if you're not the one who chose it. She handed me a flash drive with the evidence. Do what you want with this. Just, be careful. Don't turn this into another way to control her. I promised I wouldn't. That night, I sat at my desk staring at the folder. The photos. The paper trail of destruction Trevor had left behind. I thought about mailing it to her. Dropping it off. Posting it online. Hell, confronting him myself. But Rachel's voice echoed in my head. Let her choose. So I wrote one more letter. Shorter this time. No grand confession. No begging for forgiveness. Just this. I know you don't owe me anything. But if you ever want to know the full truth about who Trevor really is, I can show you. No pressure. No strings. Just a folder in a drawer. It's yours when you want it. I didn't send it right away. I let it sit. Gave her the time she asked for. Then, one Sunday morning, I left it at Melissa's place. Told her to pass it on if and only if Emily asked. No pushing. No games. Just the truth waiting patiently in the corner. 3 days later, I got a text. Just 3 words. I want it. When I read her text, my hands actually went numb. I want it. 3 words, and suddenly every part of me was wide awake. Not with hope. Hope had been burned out of me weeks ago, but with this, focus. Like something final was coming, and it was going to hit hard. I called Melissa right away. Told her to give Emily the folder and the flash drive. No commentary. No lecture. Just hand it over and let her make the call. She didn't say much, just, you better pray this helps. And I did. For the first time in years, I actually sat down that night and said something to whatever's out there. Not for me. For her. That if she opened those files and saw what Trevor really was, she wouldn't break all over again. That she'd see how far she'd come, and how much farther she could go without him dragging her down. I didn't hear anything for 2 days. Then she showed up at my apartment. Again. This time she didn't knock. Just opened the door like she used to, like home still meant something. She didn't even look at me at first. Just stood there in the entryway, holding that folder like it weighed 20 pounds. I read everything, she said. Her voice was level, but I could hear the edge. I nodded, stayed silent, let her work through it. She walked past me, sat on the couch, same spot as last time, but this time she didn't leave space between us. She sat close. Not touching, but close. I saw the restraining order. The emails. The messages he sent to 3 other women, at the same time he was calling me his soulmate. Her voice didn't shake. Not like before. There was something steel-edged in it now. Like she'd finally climbed out of the fog he kept her in. I felt stupid, she said. At first. Humiliated. Like, how could I not see it? I finally spoke. Because he didn't want you to. Guys like that, they don't get by on charm. They get by on shame. They make you afraid to even trust your gut. She looked at me then. Her eyes were tired but clearer than I'd ever seen them. I know why you did what you did, she said. And I hate that it had to be a lie. But I don't hate you anymore. I exhaled so hard my shoulders actually dropped. Like I'd been carrying something I didn't even realize. That doesn't mean we're okay, she added. But I'm not cutting you out. Not forever. I nodded. I'll take it. She reached into her bag and pulled out a tiny envelope. White, sealed, no writing on it. I got another test done. Legit this time. Real lab, real doctors. I hesitated. Do you want me to open it? She shook her head. Already did. I waited. My heart was hammering again. It's his, she said flatly. Trevor's the father. I looked away. My stomach twisted. She reached out and put her hand on my arm, not for comfort, but to keep my eyes on her. But that doesn't mean he gets to be a dad. She let that hang there. Let me process it. I'm not going after him for anything, she said. No support, no custody battles. I want him gone. Out of my life, out of my future, out of this baby's future. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Not because it was harsh, but because it was strong. It was the first time I'd seen her speak about her own life like she was the one steering it. I don't want her growing up looking at someone like that and thinking that's what a man is, she said. I want her to have you instead. I blinked. What? I want you in her life. Not because I forgive you completely. Not yet. But because I know you'd never lie to her. That landed harder than anything else had. I swallowed. You really want that? She nodded. When she asks about her dad someday, I'll tell her the truth. But when she asks about you, I want to say, that's your uncle. The guy who loved me enough to be wrong. I broke then. Not loudly. Not messy. Just a single breath that shook too much, and eyes that wouldn't stop blurring. She leaned into me. No hug. Just her shoulder against mine. We're not done healing, she said. But we're not done. I stayed silent, because anything I said would have ruined it. That night, after she left, I sat in the dark with the envelope in my lap. Not because I needed to reread it, but because I needed to remember this moment. That sometimes, you lose everything trying to save someone, and if you're lucky, they save themselves instead.